maybe they have some sort of stock market hoo-da-ha planned where they're just going to ruin the company and then skip to, some third world country. Which I suppose you could do that with $100,000. You wouldn't really need millions of bucks to go to a third world country.
no, you'd be okay.
Here's my millions of bucks. I want the country. Here you go.
I know I'm fixated on this, but I'm still trying to figure out a way to make this guy a superhero.
Yeah. What's funny is that I think
if you shapeshift, why would you really need a costume?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. The more I think about it.
So that you fit in with your team members.
Yeah, I guess if he was on a team of some kind, then, maybe there's like a whole... maybe it's a team movie. and maybe it's a whole... maybe there's several caterers, and they all get different powers, because different things in their chemical makeup, because I'm making things up, mix with the chemicals that are in this place. But why would only the caterers get these powers and not anyone who worked there?
Because the caterers are not allowed to eat the food, so they have to store their room in some sort of chemical stock.
That's hilarious.
So, you can't eat the food that you guys prepare. You have to bring sack lunches and stick it in there. You guys suck. We're paying for the food and your services. Let it be.
Wow, so you're telling me that the food gives everyone else there an immunity. So if... To whatever this stuff is giving them superpowers. So basically, if they ever stop catering, then everyone in the place gets superpowers. Or if they bring a sack lunch, this isn't working.
That's what I'm saying. Is that they have to store the caterers have to store their specific lunches in the stock room.
Oh,
and yet all the other food gets to stay in the kitchen for the general people.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, anyway, we obviously haven't quite worked out the kinks in the origin.
Or maybe they decide that they hate the people in the company so much that they go to the chemical stock room just to be in private.
Yeah, or maybe somehow they figure out what properties these things have and they give themselves superpowers on purpose. That's unusual. That's not something you get very often. Well, anyway, at any rate, because we're not figuring out the origin very well, but we know that we got a guy that we want to be able to turn into people he doesn't like. But maybe there should be a couple others because that where we can give them costumes and make it kind of a team movie because this guy, he could be effective on a team, but he wouldn't wear a costume unless it was a group.
I actually like the idea of having an advanced equilibrium. I like that.
Okay.
Because maybe it's not just that he can't be knocked over. Maybe he's.
This was a discussion we had before we started recording. the equilibrium thing.
No, I was made the joke about staring at a fan. Remember this? He stared at a fan and suddenly he had the best equilibrium in the world. And
oh, that's right. Man. No, I'm sorry. I thought we said that before we recorded. No. Okay, whatever.
They heard it.
Okay,
if they've been listening. But I kind of like that because what if maybe he has has some sort of agility.
Because I thought you should be joking, but of course you're not.
No, I was joking.
Okay, so some sort of equilibrium. Some sort of agility. Yeah, that's interesting.
It would make him great at dodging and rolling with punches.
Mm-hmm. Because you just can't get knocked over. That's interesting, though, the ability to not get knocked over.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really funny, too, if it was an absolute sort of ability. This bridge just fell out from underneath me, but I can't get knocked over. So I'm still standing here.
He's underwater going, what's going on?
He effectively has the same powers as every Warner Brothers cartoon. That'd be a pretty cool power, wouldn't it?
This guy would be terrific on an obstacle course.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you had Wile E. Coyote powers? Where, you could draw things on a wall and make people go through it. I have a magic paintbrush.
They could call it K-Tuning Services.
All right. So we got the equilibrium guy, and we got the turns into people he doesn't like guy. These are unusual superpowers. We need at least one more guy, and probably something a little bit more powerful than either of those, don't you think? Or some sort of mental power. Well, yeah, maybe some sort of mental powers, or something a lot flashier. One or the other.
Now I'm just trying to think of something that hasn't been done before.
What if you had, this has sort of kind of been done, but it'd be fun if you had, a human iPhone, where he's sort of a cyborg kind of character, but his powers allow him to run apps for mobile phones.
He's sitting there blinking his eyes real fast. What are you doing? Bowling.
That'd be weird. But it would be somewhat useful because you wouldn't have to pull out a phone and do it. No, that's dumb. That's dumb. Maybe you could have like a human Swiss Army knife.
Like Wolverine, only hilarious, and he could open wine bottles under combat fire.
Yeah, that was actually sort of done in a Tick episode, but they had these giant Swiss Army knives in their backs. Like, I'm thinking like a character who actually like is a Swiss Army knife, where like, because you take the idea of kind of a cyborg type character, but then like he's but he's just got a lot of blades and stuff on him. He's like, deploy your toothpick.
Oh, I just thought it'd be funny if they gave him a name like it'd be easy to call him like Swiss or something, but if they call him like Dutch, I don't know. Dutch. Like he's the Swede.
Well, we came up with a couple of sort of cool ideas for characters, Vince. That's about as far as we've gotten so far. I mean, like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not a team. Maybe it's a duo.
Between Equilibrium Man and the I hate you so I can change into you guy.
I like Equilibrium Man as a name, though. That's kind of fun. Or just Equilibrium is not a terrible name for a superhero. That's kind of cool.
They could call that guy the Hater.
Okay, so we have so our movie title is Equilibrium and the Hater.
I'd see that.
I would see that too. Yeah. And Equilibrium is the main, and the Hater is his sidekick, and the Hater wears some like goofy kind of suit where he does like normal martial arts and stuff, and then he just disappears and nobody knows where he went because he turned out into somebody he doesn't like, and he went off and he's doing like espionage stuff, and maybe their whole thing is bringing down like terrible like corporate, you know, thing. But that's kind of been done a lot too, right?
That's what I was saying. Maybe they have to find a way to keep it open.
Oh, that's interesting, actually.
Maybe they have to compromise some kind of moral in order to keep their entire family and families employed.
Yeah, but it would be a lot cooler if they could go on patrol and stuff too. Like you still want to have some combat and things. Like you want to be able to have some fight scenes in the movie and things like that, because it is a superhero movie after all.
This is true.
Like, you want some of that.
What? Nobody likes fighting and action.
Well, the problem is Equilibrium would be a totally pointless character if nobody ever tried to knock him over.
This is true.
We need this guy to get knocked over. Or for somebody to try. We need a villain.
The stock market falls.
We need a real super villain, because one of the things we want to avoid, of course, is for their villain to just be some like corporate head honcho guy. And I really like the idea that you had of turning it on its head, where he hates people and then he sits down and talks to them. Like maybe he has to avoid lunches and stuff. It's like, no, I'm not going to have lunch with you. Why? Because you don't like me? Well, there's that, and I don't want to like you either. So we need a villain. We need a real good costumed villain.
Let's see. Well, the logical choice is to make him part of the company.
Yeah.
It's dead.
No, that's normal too. That happens a lot.
Hater, I am your father.
Hey, here's something that never happens. Hater, I am your son. And you're only like 25, so I'm like 6. Like, wouldn't it be great if the villain was like a little kid and it was like one of their kids?
What if the little kid had like some kind of mind control?
Ooh.
And he was like basically controlling this company and just
it'd be cool too,
the
because
universe.
Now would it be? I think it would be the Hater's kid. I think it would be more fun if it was the Hater's kid. And wouldn't it make sense too if, like, again, we didn't quite figure out the origin. They're caterers and they go to a laboratory. That's all we know. But if they get their powers over time, then it would make sense that he would pass on whatever gene that gave him his like he's got a mutated gene gives him, but like they give them different powers depending on their chemical makeup. So something slightly different, and his son he gets a different sort of power. So
the end of the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
He looks at his son and he's like, "God, I hate you," and he turns into the kid and has the powers too.
Oh, that's awesome!
Oh,
that's cool. Isn't that a weird power though? That'd be a fun power. So, like, but what kind of mind powers would it? Would it just be basic mind control, or would it be something kind of different?
Well, I said world altering, and then it suddenly occurred to me that there is a kid that has that power in the Twilight Zone film. So
maybe he can only mind control people he's related to.
Then controlling the hater would be really easy.
Yeah.
You
Unless the hater has a dorky-looking helmet.
No, that's not bad.
Because we could find out that like the kid at various points because maybe it's a proximity thing, so the kid can't always control him because he can't always be around him. But like he does things during the film that he can't control, and maybe the kid I got it. Maybe the kid has the ability to use his power on him when he's mind controlling him, so he can turn into people the kid hates.
Yeah.
And so then he uses his father to do like maybe things that seem really unimportant to everyone else.
I think we just found the first plot point.
Yeah. But like maybe at first he just does silly things like he turns into his teacher so he gets good grades and weird things like that. But then maybe he gets kind of power hungry as it goes along. And maybe with his mind control he can learn things from anybody that he's mind controlling. So he becomes like a really smart kid because he's reading. Maybe he reads minds and he mind controls. So he's reading the mind of his dad, but maybe he's got like other family members that are really educated, so he learns things that he wouldn't otherwise be able to know, and that'd be really interesting.
I just had an interesting thought. Like the kid's been defeated, and he'll let his dad go out on patrol on occasion, and because he knows he's doing it. And at the end of the movie, somebody asks him, "Hey, why would you let your dad develop his powers in the realm of being a superhero? Why would you do that?" And he's like, "I didn't see any harm in it." It's like all of that knowledge, and you're still just a kid. I don't know. I think
that's interesting too. Well, and I mean, you want to humanize him. You don't want him to just be this whacked out crazy kid. But I mean, if you had that much power and you were a little kid, you'd use it. You'd do things with it. It wouldn't even occur to you right away that you would have responsibility for those powers.
I thought we were just going to develop something that was dumb and not interesting.
So in fact, that was my whole plan. I thought this was just going to be silly, but it's kind of interesting.
I think we've created something interesting and silly.
No, it's silly, to be sure.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Silly can be fun.
I mean, look at Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
That was silly, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, I still am not getting a good sense visually of what the thing would look like.
Yeah, me neither, but have an idea about the kid.
Yeah. On paper, it's kind of a cool idea. It needs to be fleshed out. I mean, obviously, on a half-hour podcast, we're not going to completely flesh the thing out. But we just thought we'd sit here and come up with some possibilities for a superhero movie, and we came up with ideas at least, Vince.